All right, we are live on YouTube today, and while it prepares to stream the webinar, I just want to introduce you to the wonderful, powerful healer here. This is Jen Ward today, and she is amazing. She founded a powerful process called the Spiritual Freedom Technique that I happened to stumble across because she catalyzed me in a social group one day. That's how I met you. And
Catalyzed me.
yeah.
What does catalyzed mean?
You emotionally triggered me and I snapped at you.
See, I'm so dumb. I didn't even know.
Stopped myself. And then I was like, oh, I recognize your soul, like your whole essence. And I stopped and I listened. And that's what we're talking about today is how to give and receive and not toss each other's energy at each other. So I would love for you to tell people here watching today a little bit about what you do and how you got started doing what you do, because it's just so powerful. I love it so much.
Well, basically what I do is because I had such low self-esteem coming in, nobody wanted to hear anything I said. So I became a great listener. And I was so grateful that someone wanted to talk to me that I would just sit there and listen and listen. And then when I went through massage therapy school, I realized I could move energy with my intention. And so I realized that when people talk, they're releasing stagnant energy, and energy needs to stay fluid. So I became good at pulling out that energy. And so the energy in them can reconnect. It's almost like priming that inner perpetual fountain of love, which is the energy, and removing all the rusty pipes from that, whatever they are. Does that make sense?
It really does. It's a great metaphor for energy and when it can become stagnant, especially the rusty part.
Yeah.
I like when energy moves too. So, spiritual freedom technique, a lot of people are asking me lately how it's different from EFT. So, you have SFT.
Well, spiritual freedom EFT means emotional freedom technique, which emotions are from the astral plane, and the astral plane is the closest to the physical. So it's like really close to just like nuts and bolts of getting by, but it's not going to be the thing that's going to like remove all your karma if it's not touching on your Akashic records or your mental memory banks or all that. So the spiritual freedom technique is all the things and layers that you need to release to actually gain your own mastership and not be running to someone else because we're supposed to be assistants. We're not supposed to be like crutches for people. And the whole world has become about finding a crutch, and people have forgotten how to be empowered. So the SFT is a way to feel one's empowerment without feeling like they're left astray or whatever. And the other difference is I help. This is what people don't realize is I help everyone who does the taps in the world. So when I put out a set of taps, they're new to the world, I will pass out for a couple hours because my energy is going to fix those things with them. Mm-hmm. And so what's been happening as I do this is my inner strength and capacity to do these taps for all humanity has been stretching. That's the huge difference. I'm like the mother whose little kid wants to go to school on their own, but she doesn't trust them. So she like hides behind the bushes all the way to school. So I'm like doing that for people that they're feeling their own empowerment, and I'm not interfering unless there's a danger there, and I'll help them energetically.
Wow. It happens so quickly. I've observed that a lot of my clients coming to you that are doing the SFT, the spiritual freedom technique, and they're doing the taps with you. And even the ones that are doing them and you just give them and they're not having a session with you. My goodness, so much energy is moving so fast.
Do you feel it? That's what I wanted to ask you. Do you feel the shifts in the world even after people are coming, right?
I do. And I feel the shifts in how I perceive the world.
Good. In a positive, right?
It's very positive. And what I'm perceiving at the collective level is that I talk about this a lot in my work with Dolores Cannon, from Spirit. And she told me once recently that there are 7 ways. I was like, well, how's everybody ascending? And she's like, what? What are you talking about? There's not one way to enlightenment or ascension. You are not jars with labels on them. Dolores is a lot like she just tells it, you know.
Right.
You're not jars with labels on them. Ascension is a little bit like she likened it to the Chinese dragon, that you go and you see the Chinese dragon, and she said you need all the people inside of that dragon moving simultaneously. And if you have the people that are in the front of the dragon, and those are your warriors, your catalysts, your people that are out there in the front lines of Black Lives Matter and so many different things, doing some powerful catalytic things for humanity. Like you guys are like, whoa, you know. And then you have people in the back, they're quiet and you don't hear from them, but they're doing the work, and they're quiet, and they're like sitting in ashrams or wherever you guys are, and meditating in a cave somewhere. I don't know. They're very quiet on your land, and your energy is so powerful that it's like a beacon, and it's affecting millions right now from where you are, maybe in your private land, in your intentional community in Hawaii somewhere. I don't know. And then you have people kind of like me. I feel like I'm in the middle of the dragon. I don't know. Your face.
You're no metal. There's no metal in you. You're like empowered. You're like a way shower. Why do you say that? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes I'm being pushed to the front, but sometimes I feel like I'm in the middle. So I'm kind of finding my way in the dragon. But there's the middle people too, and that hold the way for everybody in the middle.
I see you more as a bridge. Like you can relate to the people at the back of the line, and you can relate to the people who are like the way, you know, the ones who are energetically out there, and you can relate to all of them. So you're like the bridge, which is like the keystone. You're the keystone.
Yeah.
Does it resonate?
Yeah, it does. It really does. So I am just viewing that, and your work helps people find their own space for where they are in this powerful shift that we're going through. And the shift to 2020 is the most powerful wave of ascension that I have ever felt in any lifetime. And I do mean ever. And Jen and I are old. We got a lot of lifetimes, right?
Well, what I get is this has been the battle for the like I got that the earth is some kind of heart chakra of the lower worlds, and people have been trained through some spiritual past that earth is just a throwaway planet. It's the ash can of the universe, which is a lie, and that's been a trap so spiritual people don't try. But what's really happening is this is the heart chakra. This is where the battleground is for the heart of humanity on all planets, not just earth. Do you get a sense of us healing other planets and stuff, right?
Other planets who are, you know, I channel a lot of different collectives, but the main one is called the Council of Nine, and they represent a lot of beings. And they tell me that there's like a lot of galactic battles going on for Earth. There's a lot of galactic battles going on. So the work that people like Jen are doing on the planet, you guys are making sure that this planet does not like get that taken over, but it's not happening. It's not happening. And we're coming into our power. We're creating like a celestial kingdom here, you know, is what I'm getting. And I also get that this is not boot camp, guys. You're not, you're not in a prison planet. You know, that's an old archaic system.
But that's the belief system. What's been happening is they've been trying to enslave Earth like a prison colony. And so that mentality,
But it's not happening, right?
No, well, what I've been doing, and I'm sure others are doing, is I dissipate those psychic intrusions that they come to you in the dream state, and they try to coerce you. Like a lot of people who have insomnia, they're not sleeping because it's not safe to sleep right then. If they would sleep right then, they would become susceptible to those psychic manipulations. So there's those of us who stay awake and kind of are on watch and prevent those psychic energies from getting into everybody. And the people in power are so angry because they don't know why it's not working. The formula for power and taking over a planet has worked forever. Why isn't it working now? Well, here we are, you know what I mean? Just meek little us, you know, just doing our own business. Nobody knows what we're doing. We're totally invisible and nobody cares to know who we are. for the most part. But even that is changing because it's safe now to know how empowered you are. Does that make sense?
It does. It really does. And this isn't it's grad school, not boot camp. That's the best way I can put it. If you're here, there's a reason why you're here, and you are an empowered being if you're here. And if you're here, you've done your work.
Yeah.
You're not striving to attain and be something that you're not. You're just remembering the power of what you are.
And that's why you don't need to be trapped in your Akashic records, because everything you've learned your lesson from those. You don't need your notes from high school. You don't need your notes from grade school. You know your stuff. So that's why those can be all eliminated. And that's part of what we do is just dissolve those Akashic records so you're at a clean slate.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that so much. So the reason why we're here today is because we've been talking a lot about giving and receiving energy through listening and how to give and receive. And I find that right now I'm seeing that happen a lot more than maybe the start of the pandemic, for sure. And I still also see people kind of tossing energy at each other, like this is some sort of a tennis game where everybody's no in tennis at least you got someone serving and someone hitting back, right? And then another person serves and then they hit back, so at least the game is equal. But what I'm getting is that people are so terrified that they're disempowered, and you're not. That you're just kind of serving the ball, smacking each other's faces, boom boom
And
boom,
then running away and not afraid of what's going to come back at you.
smack the ball and run. I see that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like I got the analogy of basketball because it's like throwing a basket and never making it.
Yeah.
You're never hitting your target because you don't really want to. You're afraid to hit the target because you're afraid they'll hit the target back. So people are afraid of what's going to come at them. And it's just all their wounds from past lives and all the trauma and all the mean things that they've ever been said. They don't want to hear it anymore. So they have to like release the fear of, first of all, in past lifetimes when we were heard and validated, it was because we were pulled out of the crowd and executed if we spoke up. Or if we were the pretty one, we would get the attention of the king and then we were sacrificed. So we're afraid to speak up because it's associated with death and danger. And then we're afraid of being attacked. So all those things are going to play when we're in our communications, all these things, and they don't need to be. Nobody's going to kill you if you tell them your truth. Nothing's going to happen. So it takes a lot of facing your fears from past lifetimes to just stand there and just speak what you need to speak and know you're not going to be burnt at the stake for saying it. That kind of thing.
Aren't going to come back. You're not going to repeat those scenarios, right? Is that what you're trying to say? Okay.
I mean, some people, if those kind of scenarios are repeating, it's because people are doing it now habitually because they're in the habit. And that's the beauty of the taps. They get you out of that habit of attracting the same old thing, like an abusive relationship or poverty, or, in lots of lifetimes we were taught that poverty was sacred because people didn't have money, so they made them be pious. Well, I'm so poor because I'm not going to abuse. I'm not like the evil profiteer. And so they've kept that, and they just need to release that belief system that money is evil or they'll abuse power if they have it.
Have you noticed that that's still perpetuating in some of the spiritual caste systems, particularly in other countries where they're kind of, America is kind of, how shall I say it, almost bastardizing spiritual teachers, saying, don't charge money for what you do. Don't accept money. You're meant to be pious. You're
Right.
privileged if you accept money. Do you feel like that is a crossover from those caste systems? And
oh, definitely. I think it's part of that daisy of death that we talked about, where
tell
it's
people what that is. I want
the daisy of death is this false. It's this grid that spiritual people have been taught that it's the flower of life to transcend, but it's missing the geometry to get people out of the body. It traps them in the body at the mental realms. So it's like the real flower of life has more points in it, and if you look at it, it looks 3D and it's fluid and moving. But the daisy of death is very two-dimensional, just flat. And this daisy of death is like a grid, and different things in energy weave onto that, like time and space, or belief in a male god that's petty, and male energy being dominant, and all these belief systems weave in to make this a basket that people can't get out of. It's almost like, do you ever watch Naked and Afraid?
Mm-mm.
In Naked and Afraid, they're always making this basket for the fish. They make this cone basket, and the fish goes in, and he doesn't know enough to turn around and get out, and so they trap the fish. And that's what's happening with the daisy of death. People go in because they're looking so hard for their spirituality. They go in this direction, and then they can't get themselves out, and then they're trapped in there. And you can see people who are trapped in that way, they're really mind heavy. Like they argue a lot, they're know-it-alls, they love debate, they love questioning you, they love the pissing contest. Ooh, can I say that? They love the pissing contest, they love taking down a person, a spiritual healer, because it means they're more important. You and I don't do that with each other. You and I respect each other. And it's retraining other healers, because I don't join groups because they want to take my energy and use it for their group consciousness, like an energetic Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I was wondering why I didn't join a lot of other groups either. I'm like, I just don't like the way it feels here.
Right, right. They're promising you something, but they're taking your abundance and using it for their own gain. And if you need something, they'll give you a little bit of money back to like win you over, but they won't give you your providence back. It's gone, it's spent. And
Wow.
they use your providence to get other people in. So they use your energy to attract other people and keep growing that way.
Shoot, I think that's happening a little bit in my own groups. I'm like, oops.
Not with you.
Well, not with me personally, but I feel that people are joining my group and others' groups, not just me, but they're joining particularly Facebook groups as a means of just kind of using that person
Yes.
to write on their coattails, to be like, I'm going to post my services in your group over and over and over again. I'm going to post my channelings in your group so I can get
Don't
attention
let them.
from your work. It's
Don't let
really
them.
starting to, and my group is very specific. Like I literally, you have to fill out questions for it. You have to, it's very directed. So if you come in, I'm like, first thing I say is do not put your stuff in my group. And no offense, you can create your own groups. I've worked hard for that to
Right.
get people who understand my work at all. I've worked for 20 years. So I'm like, do not do it.
And it's not only to protect you, it's to protect the people that are there. Your group is a spiritual satsang.
Yeah.
Like my page is a spiritual satsang.
And that's
And
about
so,
your energy, right?
yeah. And so you don't want someone going in there and using it to scan your other people who are there sincerely. It'd be just like letting snake oil salesmen into your physical home while you're having a spiritual group. You wouldn't allow that. So you have to like weed that out, because these people who come to you trust you, and they don't may not be able to see in energy what you can see.
Yeah. It was hard. Like I have two different groups. One's just for students, you know, and it's very private for patrons and mentorship students. And then the other one is the official page on Facebook. Anybody can join it, but I have strict rules. I'm like, do
Yeah,
not, it's about me, you know, and I'm not afraid to be selfish in that way. It's about the
it's not selfish.
that's around me. And I'm
It's not
sharing that
selfish.
energy. I'm sharing my work. I don't want to hear about Abraham Hicks or other channelers, even though I love them. Go to their group for that and go to this group for my work. And it's been really hard for me to do that because the group started out being about everybody's work. And people were like, well, you should share, everybody should share their work and share their energy and share this and share that. And what's your take on that premise? Because I hear some people like talking I'm reading their chats right now while we're talking about this. And they're like, oh, that's interesting. I don't know what do we do with that? Why can't we have a group with everybody's stuff?
Okay, you can, but what it does, and this is like I don't get insulted very much, but the ways I get insulted on social media aren't the ways people would think. And what they'll do is they'll compare me to someone else,
Mhm.
even if it's like, even if it's the Dalai Lama. I'm offended. It's like, aren't I not unique enough? And what it does is it takes those two people who are exponential starbursts in their own right, and it's bringing them down to the lowest common denominator, and it's subjugating both of them. So when I write a post of truth, this truth that's coming through my inner being that I've struggled this lifetime to glean, and then they put a post, oh yeah, this is what Eckhart Tolle said about that. It's like, no, don't bait and switch. Don't say it's valid because he said it 20 years ago. It's valid because I said it, and this is my truth.
In this moment. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the same thing, like people think that I won't I won't validate their truth if they say it. They have to back it with someone else. I prefer to know what you're feeling, what your experience is. That's more wisdom to me than quoting someone else. It just is old.
We want to hear your personal stories in our
Well,
group.
not their stories, not
Yeah.
their, not, not their dirty laundry, but just their path.
Their
Maybe you do.
experiences. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm saying it right.
No, no, no. I just don't want people to think that I want them to like bring all their stories to my page, because it's like it brings me physical pain when they dump all the negative vibration words in my page.
So
Doesn't it hurt you?
it depends upon if I'm letting myself receive it or not, honestly, but with the group. But I feel it if someone's one-on-one with me, I feel it strongly.
See, I'm one-on-one, even if it's like someone just messaging me on my or writing a message on me. I don't, not that it's good or bad, it cuts me off, but that's one-on-one with me. I take every statement, everything people write in, and then I have to push them out, and then they think I'm a bitch. But right? But they're hurting me. They're physically hurting me. My nervous system starts shaking, and I have to push the energy back out.
Oh, wow. So that's that part of the deeply shamanic part of you that is constantly pulling in and transmuting and pulling in and transmuting for the collective. Would be it?
I don't know if I pull it into myself. I don't pull it into the microcosm. I
Okay.
make myself a galaxy and pull it out of them into the galaxy.
Uh-huh.
So it doesn't have to touch my microcosm.
Okay.
But then when they identify with it and put details on it, they're like bypassing the galaxy and shoving it right into my body.
Well, that's
That's
a lot
what
of awareness. That's really powerful what you said right there to share with people, because a lot of clients and people who come and get healings and readings and channelings and come to sit with a mentor, even, you know, they're not aware of how that works and that they're doing that, and you've been teaching them that through their work. So can you elaborate on that a little bit about why that hurts and what that looks like, what the dynamic is?
so so you and I perceive an energy,
Mm.
and other people should be perceiving an energy, but the ability to perceive an energy has been thwarted. That's why people need labels, because people are blind in energy. They're literally blind in energy because they've closed down their ability to perceive an energy. So they need the labels. It's like a blind person feeling around in the dark. Where's the table? Where's the bed? That's what labels do for them. And they're terrified not to have those labels because they don't know what something is unless it has that label on it. So what we're doing is we're teaching them how to perceive an energy so those labels aren't necessary, because labels are not accurate. They're not. And so it it like puts this glass ceiling on whatever the label is, and it can't be anything more than that label is, if people aren't perceiving an energy. So what so when I do a session, I say, do you feel this? Do you feel that? And they get annoyed, like, no, I don't feel that. And I go, it's okay. I'm teaching you how to feel it. And I'm teaching them how to perceive an energy. Well, do you feel it? They go, no, I'm not feeling anything. I feel the tingling in my back. I feel warmth. I feel like magnetic. Yeah, that's it. But they have no reference points. So to be accountable in this world, you need to be able to perceive an energy, because look at all the lawyers in the world. You can tell basically when a politician is lying now. Are you perceiving an energy, or you just know that if it's a politician, he's lying. Some people can perceive the lies. They can tell the difference. They can tell when someone's sincere and when they're not. That's perceiving an energy. But other people will shut down and just say, oh, he's a politician. He wants this, wants that. So he's using his labels to guide him on what this person is. He's a Republican. Oh, he's a Democrat. So that's his label, and he can't get past that label to see the whole of that person. And the labels are getting in the way now in the world because we're transcending them. So people need to learn how to perceive. They need to open their eyes like a little puppy doesn't open their eyes when they're born. Everyone, that's what awakening is opening your eyes and seeing the integrity, the truth of others. Does
Wow.
that make sense?
It does. I'm trying to kind of get more into the dynamics of how people can actually perceive. Do they need to, because you can't receive without perceiving first, right?
Well, you feel that, um, you might feel that red flag inside, that knot in your stomach. Okay, a nasty, angry person. Most people can tell when someone's angry because of their behavior. Um, can you just get that in, hang it up? Because of their anger. Sorry, that just took me off. My phone never rings unless it's a client. So they're angry. People can perceive that someone's angry through that, through just knowing they're angry, probably because of their like slamming books or kicking things or what they're saying. But what if they're not slamming books, kicking things? What if they just walk in? There's a subtle stance of an angry person. And because people who are the victims of angry people are hypersensitive to that, they're perceiving the anger before it's manifested as behavior.
Before they
So
receive it.
yeah, they're perceiving anger and energy.
And then they
So
don't have to receive it. They have a choice because they perceived, they see something and then they choose to receive or not. Would you say
well,
that?
they're more cautious. Like if you know someone's angry, you're going to stay away from them if you haven't learned to deal with them.
Mhm.
Or if it's triggering you, you're going to remember, your father who beat you or abused you, and it's going to come up and it's going to trigger you. And this can all happen in energy. That's why a lot of people come off as mentally ill when they're just perceiving an energy. They're being triggered by the energy of the people, and they have no way to articulate it or to label it in words because there's no way to validate it.
Mhm.
Like you're not allowed to call a politician a liar, but we all know he's lying. So you have to take things at face value, and that's not accurate anymore. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And it insofar as what we're talking about today with listening, perceiving is such a big part of it. And then I can hear all the collective and they're typing in chat, typing away, and I can feel them just thinking, well, then what do we do? Then if labels don't work anymore, where are we in this shift with everything that's going on? If this is a new energy, you know, then what? Like people are so scared to not have those labels.
Right, because what the tapping does, what the work does, is it helps it be okay to perceive an energy. Like the fact that you and I are so articulate and so dynamic in our way to communicate in energy. We're literally putting a voice on a new frontier. It's like if nobody had eyes, how would you explain color? How
Mm.
would you explain what it's like to see a tree? You wouldn't have the reference points. And so
Well,
the work,
yeah,
what?
sorry, go ahead.
So what we're doing is we're creating a reference point in energy. How does your body feel? How do you react? Do you feel tightness in your body? Do you feel relaxed around this person? Does this make you happy? Does this make you scared? What does it remind you of? If someone comes into your life and they remind you of someone who stole from you or raped you, you know that that's an indicator that that's not a good person for you. If it reminds you of someone you love, that's an indicator that this is safe for the most part.
Right, that would not be a good alignment for you
Right,
that moment.
right. So you pay attention. You got to pay attention to everything. It's like, what was I doing when you get triggered by something, when you get angry or in a bad mood for no reason? There's always a reason. What did you eat? Did you eat some chemicals? What did you watch? Did something irritate you on TV? What did you put on your body? Did you put on perfume or something with chemicals? Did you put on polyester? Polyester will do it. I'll turn into a monster if I have a polyester shirt on. All these things. Did you interact with this person? Did you? So you get to write a list of all the things, and you do a mental inventory of what just changed between when you were okay and then when you shifted into angry or sad or whatever. And then you figure out your own indicators. Mm-hmm. And then you pay attention to those indicators and avoid those indicators. But when I go to the mall, I'm angry. Well, someone in the mall probably was there, and they were probably like feeling like they didn't have enough money, and so now you walk away thinking you don't have enough money. Maybe you're depressed. You walked into their depression and you owned it for yourself. This energy clings on to people.
That's a lot of listening that person is doing. So they're perceiving and then they're taking it in and receiving. So what would you recommend that they do? I know a lot of empaths are listening right now who struggle with this very problem. So what do they do then?
Well, a lot of the empaths who are listening, their Wei Qi, the skin on their energy field, has been compromised. Can we help them right now? Can you do a tap for them?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Wei Qi is the skin on the energy field. And it's not only in your physical body, your astral body has a Wei Qi, your causal body has a Wei Qi, your mental body has a Wei Qi. And what happens is people who are over emotional, the Wei Qi of their mental body has been ripped. So they overcompensate in emotions because that's strong. And people who overthink are like bypassing their emotions because that's ripped. You need all of these bodies working together in alignment. Mm-hmm. So the tap, I'm going to give you something to say 3 times.
Oh,
tap the top.
Coming on, I'm like, go ahead.
I know that's how people feel, but it's so good. And then I won't yell at you if you get it wrong.
It's okay if you do.
And then a 4th time we'll tap it on your chest, okay? Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to say it twice so you get it. And if you stumble, I'm going to feed it to you, right? I repair and fortify the Wei Qi of all my bodies in all moments. I repair and fortify the Wei Qi of all my bodies in all moments.
Oh my God, it's hard to say it again.
I repair
and
fortify the Wei Qi of all my bodies in all moments. I repair
and fortify the Wei Qi
of
all my bodies
in all moments.
I repair and fortify the Wei Qi of all my bodies in all moments.
Now your chest.
I repair and fortify the Wei Qi of all my bodies in all moments.
Now, do you know why it was so hard for you?
Why?
Because you weren't just doing it for you. You were doing it for the listeners. Not only the listeners now, but the listeners in the future. You're helping them repair their Wei Qi. We're doing that together. Do you get a sense of that? And so that's their resistance, the collective's resistance.
I got an image while I was doing it. I know you get things when you're tapping for people because you're just such a powerful shaman. And I got an image too. And I've got this image a lot. I was on a wall, a big wall, and I was sitting on the top of it. And I had one leg on one side and one leg on the other. And there were people kind of crawling up my leg. And I was yanking them over with my hand and pulling them over to the other side. And now some of them on the way down, they're hanging onto my leg. And I was like shaking it. I'm like, no. Get on that other side of the wall. And the other side I could see the other side of the wall. And it was bliss and joy. And people were crying in bliss. The saints were praying and shouting hallelujah and shouting powerful, loving things. And there were rishis kind of like me. They were just looking around at the bliss, saying nothing because they were so overwhelmed with the love of God. And there were powerful things happening. It was like heaven. But the people on this other side of the wall, that I was lifting over, they couldn't see what I could see while I'm sitting on the wall. And they're like, oh, I don't want to. So I'm just yanking them.
Right. So does that bring up your pyramid lifetimes? Because it feels like you're like a goddess in one of those demigods or whatever from Mount Olympus or whatever, one of those gods like Hera or whatever.
It's bringing up something.
So, but it's like an old consciousness. You can transcend that now.
Mhm.
Because if you're a god, that means everyone else is not. And so it's limiting you being having to be on the wall. You just want to be on the side with bliss now. You don't want to have to be straddle the wall. You
Mm.
want to do a tap for you?
Sure. I'm
I
up.
release I release the need to straddle the wall in all moments.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. My heart went, ah, say it again. This is how powerful these taps are. We get all like, oh my God. Go ahead.
I release the need to straddle the wall in all moments. I feel it. I release the need
I release the need to straddle the wall in all moments. I release the need to straddle the wall in all moments. I release the need to straddle the wall in all moments. I release the need to straddle the wall in all moments.
So your energy is saying, well, what about those people? You're on the side of bliss. What's wrong with all those people?
Help them.
Right. So watch. This is the next one. Watch this. I take down the wall in all moments.
Mm-hmm. I take down the wall in all moments. 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 Yeah, like that one. That one's going so deeply into me. My body's like shaking right now. This is so relevant for humanity. That wall is like gone. Are you guys doing it? Do it.
Do they feel it?
Yeah, everybody's crying. People are crying. They're
Good.
talking about it in chat.
Good.
I feel it. They're with me because my listeners are really connected to me, and I'm really
Yeah.
connected to them. Like I feel their stuff all the time, and I could feel them feeling it and releasing it, and they're all like the chat's going crazy. It's like.
Well, they were on the other side. They're like looking at this wall and saying, "We don't want to use Pam that way," and they're just looking
Oh,
at
I
this
feel
wall,
good.
just waiting, right?
Yeah.
But now they're just walking over.
Yeah, some of them are saying, I got spidey chills. It's so
Oh,
beautiful.
awesome. Now do this one for them as well.
Okay.
We bring all of humanity into the bliss in all moments.
I or we?
Well, I'm kind of helping too, and others are helping. So,
We.
yeah. What was your name for that side? Because when you say bliss, you get this fear that they're going to be separated from their consciousness, and then you get a fear. We're not separating people from their consciousness. They're not dying. They're coming over consciously on this other side. So what did you call the name of that wall?
The Great Wall.
No, the good side. What was the good side called?
Heaven.
Okay. All right. So then we're going to have to do. We release everyone's fear of being separated from their consciousness in all moments.
We release everyone's fear from being separated.
Of.
We release everyone's fear of being separated from their consciousness.
In all moments.
In all moments. We release everyone's fear of being separated from their consciousness. In all moments. We release everyone's fear of being separated from their consciousness in all moments. We release everyone's fear of being separated from their consciousness in all moments.
Do you see how I'm sweating through this whole thing? I'm like dripping. Do you see that?
My body's like, you're getting very sleepy.
Yeah, exactly. So now we got rid of that fear, like dying. They're not going to die. So we welcome everyone into, they want to say like nirvana, because heaven, they don't like the word heaven because heaven depicts Christian, and a lot of them are sick of the crusades and they're sick of that word, and it depicts enslavement to them. We usher all of humanity into nirvana in all moments.
We usher all of humanity into nirvana in all moments. We usher all of humanity into nirvana in all moments. We usher all of humanity into nirvana in all moments. We usher all of humanity into nirvana in all moments.
So you might, if you are someone who watches the news or watches current events, you might see evidence when you do those taps for humanity. You can see evidence of them shifting humanity. And it's like, it's so interesting to watch, because how can one person be that powerful? And it's like the ancient ones say, how can someone not be that powerful?
So good. I love those taps. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So another reason why I brought you here today, I read something from one of your books, and the book is Collecting Everyday Miracles. And I want to read it to people because it was just so powerful that it just stopped in me, like in my tracks. I couldn't breathe. I was like, like I do that shaking thing as a shaman where I had to breathe it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so good because it just epitomized the energy of perfect, loving, receiving, giving, listening. So I want to read it. And it says, how to be a good listener. There is no multitasking when you listen to someone. Truly listening to someone entails catching energy they are throwing. To be distracted by other things is missing the ball. Listen from the vantage point of the talker, as if these things could be happening to you. Otherwise, sheets of opinions will block your ability to receive. When you talk to children, meet them at their level. If they have friends, treat them with respect too, even if they are stuffed in plastic. When someone is upset about something that seems silly, scan your own memory banks of a time you can remember feeling that way. This will help you not shut down in judgment. If you don't understand a point, don't nod and agree. This is disrespectful and dishonest. Simply interject that you are having trouble following the point they are making and ask for clarification. Don't indulge those who talk too much, complain too much, or spew anger. Being a good listener is not a form of masochism. If you don't agree with someone, don't pretend to be polite. This is actually rude because you are not honoring them enough to be honest. Just say, I love you, but I don't get that point. If it continues, then they don't respect you, and you must honor yourself and shut down the interaction. If someone continuously drains you by wanting to use you to vent, talk about problems, complain, gossip, or debate, then you are not listening to your own body that is telling you to remove yourself from this dynamic. If you do it because no one else listens to them, you are being a martyr. The reason others are not listening to them is because it is not healthy for them. People literally make themselves sick by continually taking in low vibrations this way. If you're forced into a situation where you have to be around a negative person, you can retrain them to be positive around you. When a person says negative things, ignore them and don't bite. Pretend you didn't even hear them. When they do get around to saying something positive, jump on it by engaging them. This is a means of rewarding them for positive behavior. This is how to retrain a human. Listen to your inner sensors like your gut or heart in regards to all matters. You will never lie to yourself, so never betray yourself by ignoring your truth. Listening to others is as important. Listening to yourself is as important as listening to others. Always be truthful in a kind, pleasant way. Don't tolerate things just to avoid conflict or to prevent hurting someone's feelings. Your feelings matter too. You need to honor yourself as well as the other person. Truth resonates at a similar frequency of love. So if you are just being polite and going through the motions, you are being less loving than being honest. People want to know how to communicate with animals. It's no different than communicating with people. When you put as much reverence into every interaction will start to speak volumes. All of life will speak with you if you merely learn to listen in energy instead of in words. Our pets' problems may seem quaint, but they are important issues to them. When your pet is hungry or wants a treat, it is no less important than when you are craving a snack. When they are sniffing out on their walk, realize that it is their time to unwind and relieve stress. It's no different than you wanting to veg out in front of the TV. Realize what they are feeling like before you just dismiss their issues. Listen to your inner promptings. They are truth trying to be heard. Never dismiss your dreams, passions, desires, or hopes as a fancy. They are the precipice of a deep journey of awakening. Listening intently to the things that make you happy is dipping a toe into your omniscience. Yep. I just loved it. And I loved it because there was some things that you said there, particularly about listening from the vantage point of the talker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've noticed this, or if any of you listening have noticed that most people, when they're listening to you, you can feel, and I, as a telepath and an empath, can feel that they're just waiting to speak their opinion. They're not really taking all of you in, you know?
Yes.
And I liked what you said there, because then you went on to say, otherwise sheets of opinions will block your ability to receive. In my writings, I talk a lot about opinions being just how we're throwing energy of judgment at someone. So we're already formulating our judgments before we fully even received the energy of what they have to say, you know?
Yeah, opinion is like a closed door.
Yeah.
So it's almost like when the people come to the door to tell you about their religion,
Yeah.
and they pretend that they're interested in you, and so they let you talk and talk and talk because they're using it as a tool to open your energy. They don't really care about what you're saying. It's not an interaction. They're using your need to talk as a means to open your energetic door, so then they can put their belief system in there. They're never going to change their belief system. They're hunkered, they're on a mission. And so it's not an interaction to trust. They want you to trust them, but it's not equal. It's a lie, and it's manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they're trained to interact, and it works.
Mm-hmm. It does. That's interesting. And someone's saying, well, in that regard, in chat, someone's saying, would that be like an energy vampire or someone draining?
No,
No.
that's not an energy vampire, because they're not there to drain your energy. They're there to get you for the long haul. So what they want to do is pull you into the group consciousness. That one's more like a Ponzi scheme. They bring you into your group, their group. So you're perpetually giving your energy to them and feeding their group, and they feed off that energy to get more people and more people and more people. A vampire would drain you dry, and they'll ask questions, but they may seem really interested, but what they do is they stroke your ego. It's very interesting. When people ask questions, your antennas should go up. Like, why are they asking me? Do they have a right to know? What's their gain out of this? When people stroke your egos, what is their interest in this? Do you ever get that? The same people who stroke your egos are the same ones that leave like disgruntled 2 months later.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a red flag when people stroke my ego. It's like trying to get close to me, trying to have me open up so you can feed off of me.
Yeah. So that they can get something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think that they are conscious of it?
No, most people aren't conscious. Some are, but the thing about them not being conscious is someone like you and I, if you call them on that, this is where good listening and communication skills come in. Because this is what I do. I call someone on someone. Why are you doing this? Why are you? I use the phrase, because I use a harsh word to like break through the consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say, why are you effing with me? When I say the word. And so that takes them by surprise. Like they think they're all sincere and stuff. And I was like, what? And then that allows them to like look around and think, what am I doing? What's she seeing in me? And it's like, then are able to see in energy the dynamics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it's taken people by surprise. So here's another good technique to use on people who are complaining. Perfect way to get people to stop
Oh, I
complaining.
love this. We're all waiting on this one.
Okay, this one's juicy.
Mm-hmm.
And what it is whatever they say that's the most miserable thing is I lost my dog. And they're waiting. They've been telling everybody this. They're waiting for the payoff for you to give them sympathy. Don't do it. Just say, wow, that's great. You have this angel in heaven walking with you all the time. Now you don't have to leave your baby home. He can always be with you. Whatever it takes, whatever miserable thing they say, that's great. And find a positive to switch it around. And they'll be shocked. And you'll see them like be paralyzed in that, like, wait, I didn't get my payoff. I didn't get fed. Wait a minute. And then if you do this with a little child, it can retrain them. Like my friend used it, her granddaughter was crying about something, whiny, getting her own way, spoiled brat. And the grandmother just said, look at how pretty your tears are. They're little sparkly diamonds on your face. And it just like took her by surprise, and she didn't know what to do with it, but it stopped the whining.
Shock them with love.
Yeah. Yeah, just like a bait and switch. You don't give them what they want, they give them what they need.
That's interesting. I find that people seem to be, and it's not their fault. It's not anyone's fault that you have been trained pretty much since the moment you popped out of your womb to connect to each other based upon something bad. So I call this trauma bonding. Sometimes I call it sympathing. It's like you're confusing empathy with sympathy. And I don't know how you feel about those two words, but to me, they feel a little different.
Sympathy is quicksand that people can't get out of.
Yeah.
Empathy is like giving a handout for so someone pulls themselves out of the quicksand, but you're not pulling yourself into the quicksand. Right. Sympathy is getting in the quicksand with them.
So empaths, you don't have to sympathize.
You better not.
Yeah, exactly.
It's dangerous. You better not sympathize. I went to an AA meeting. There was a huge AA meeting, like hundreds of people. Yeah. This woman got up to tell her story, and I had never been to an AA meeting. She locked eyes with me, and she saw that she had me, and I was crying, and she was dumping the worst she had into me, and I was done. And it was like she knew it, and I knew it, that I was a target. So
trauma bonding. And I find that in new age spiritual communities, and the more modern the spiritual community is, and particularly the younger, I'm sorry to pick on you millennials, but I'm
Oh,
not. Okay, because you're trained to essentially do that, and then if you don't do that, then you're not compassionate, and then people start like kind of judging you for being not holding proper space, not knowing how to be present. But you don't have to allow yourself to be completely emotionally drained dry in order to be present with
no,
someone.
yeah. And I work with a millennial right now. Chad's a millennial. And it's like his lens of life is different than my lens of life, which is like in the 60s, like, trying to survive the 60s and 70s with alcoholic parents is different than coming in as a millennial where everything's handed to you, and work to you is like putting your glass into the kitchen when you're done drinking. You know what I mean? So there's a whole different reference point. So that's a whole different lens of understanding. And so you can do the energetic cleanse, which is on my website, with the hard-headedness or the selfishness or the misunderstanding of the millennials,
Mm.
because they're really deep, profound people, but their lens gets in the way and they
Yeah.
think they've arrived. Can I tell you a little story?
Yes, we love that.
When I was in my 20s, I didn't know, I was just floundering, right? And I moved to a little town in upstate New York that was like really psychic. There was like, it was like really, I would see like dark streaks of red energy coming out of the churches. And there was a lot of like black magic done there. And I think I was there to purify it and everything. Oh, I forgot my story. I forgot the whole story.
It's
What
my
was
fault. I was thinking about that town. I was going, I know exactly where she
Do you know which one it is?
Yes.
I waitressed there for my first day of waitressing. There was a thunderstorm in there and the whole little town blacked out and there weren't lights anymore. And the thunder and lightning, the lightning would come right near my feet. And it was stirring it up and digging it out so deeply. Oh, so my story was, so I would have experiences with the Native Americans then. And they would come into this playground, this playroom that was attached to my apartment. I was a nanny. And all these souls would come into my room and they wanted me to speak to them. They came for some kind of lecture. So I would just sit there and I would be present with all these souls. And I thought they were from another planet or they were a Native American. And they just listened and stayed with me for like a while, like an hour or so. And then they all respectfully left. And then I used to have these inner experiences of this ship where there was a spaceship with all these babies all over it on this alien spaceship. And the spaceship, they were hybrids. They looked human, but they were part human and part alien. And my job was to love these babies so they would know what it felt like. And so that happened in the early 80s. And I'm wondering if those were the millennials that came that are just learning about love in the way that we understand it.
Yeah, and they don't feel that sense of, I hear this a lot from my millennial clients. They're like, I don't really feel like I
Right,
belong here. I
right.
don't feel this is not my home. Several sentiments. Some people are nodding that they feel that, you
There's
know.
taps for that. And we've
Mhm.
done the taps of like being abandoned on earth. Remember the energetic cleanse with being abandoned on earth, or even their their body and on the other planet is lots of times a dragon body where they have a tail. And people who have lower back aches, it's because of standing on 2 feet when they're more comfortable with that tripod of a long tail balancing them. And it's hard for them to balance in just 2 feet. It's awkward. So they get lower back aches. Does that make sense?
It does. I teach a lot about in my galactic history classes about the energy DNA, like I call it etheric DNA that
Mm-hmm.
comes through our memories.
Mm-hmm.
And then it affects our physiological and psychological complex systems. And that's one of the many ways that it comes through, but the hardest way.
But what's happening, have you ever heard of the reconnection?
No.
Oh, so this guy, I don't remember when. I don't read a lot, so I just get known stuff that I need to know.
Me
It's
too.
called
Me too. Yeah.
yeah. And so actually my brother, who never said two words to me my whole life, married his third wife, and I edited their book for them. And she got knocked down. She was from New Zealand. She got knocked down, and this alien downloaded a book into her. And it was a book about the 12 races that they were deciding whether Earth could transcend or if they were just primal and not even worth bothering with, let them destroy themselves. So these 12 races, three of them were like, I'm wondering if it's a council of nine that you talk about, because three of them begrudgingly gave their DNA. Each one of them gave a strand of their DNA to upgrade the planet. And so the 12 stranded DNA was inserted into humans to upgrade them so that the vibration of Earth could be one where aliens or star people from other planets could intertwine, because the vibration of one planet can't be at the vibration of another, so they can't interconnect. But if humans carry the DNA of all of those 12 planets can interact on Earth. Does that make sense? Does that
It
go
does.
along?
It really does. Insofar as a lot of my work with the Council of Nine and my memories of them as well as them, it definitely makes sense. As per what I teach in my galactic history classes when they come through, and they have talked about this specifically. And they've talked about now being a time that we could stand to really look at this in a different way. Look at this in a way of we are finally being free
Yeah,
of all these ways that we were contained and restricted into having, just the tiny amount of DNA that we have now. Like we have other DNA, that is finally activating. So these feelings of not belonging here, these feelings of not liking it in the body, when we work through that, we work through and understand that yes, we did decide to come and to be in a body. We did decide that we are worthy and that we don't have to destroy each other or the entire planet for that matter. We did
exactly.
make these
Well,
decisions.
yes, and so me when I was a little girl, did I tell you this? All I did was knit all day. I just
No, you didn't even
crocheted
tell
and
me
knit all
that.
day. Everybody else had private lives or friends. I just sat there and knitted. And I didn't know why I had to do that. But when I learned about the reconnection theory, I had it done where my DNA was upgraded to 12 strands. So what I do in my contemplation is I go around the world and reknit people's DNA to 12 strands and more. And
Mhm.
people who are still fighting in war, and that's less, is only like 1.5 DNAs.
Oh, wow.
And so that's why they're still in war. But then all you have to do is visualize reknitting their DNA into 2 and then 12, and then bring everybody up to the DNA that we have. And then they don't want to fight. They're not in primal mode anymore.
Now that you're talking about primal mode, your work could really help a lot of PTSD sufferers,
Yes.
um, vets, people who really struggle with strong anxiety and PTSD.
One session.
Yeah.
One session. I did this vet that I knew from Facebook, and he was amazed at the shifts in one session. He
Oh,
wanted
did you
everybody.
record that one? Oh, we would love to listen to it on your podcast.
Unfortunately, it was before my.
Okay.
I mean, if I had a vet, I would do another one because I
That's
did take.
good for her. Yeah, we want to
Yeah,
hear how that works because I believe that that would be very beneficial.
and I've offered to go to the VA hospital, but they don't see me. I've offered to send my books to prisons, no response. So I try. There's something I want to tell people about the other planets, those people who are from other planets.
Yeah.
A couple things that would be interesting to them. If they ever have dreams of traveling by water slide,
Mhm.
does anybody have that dream?
They're
If
saying,
they
yeah.
not, okay, the dreaming by water slide is going between different planets. There's like this way of kind of like the Star Trek beam me up. It's kind of like a way to like be at the other planets for like you can only stay in that vibration for a short time.
They're
But
saying
there's
yes. Yes, they're saying
good.
slip and slide. It's like a slip and
Yep, a slip and slide.
slide.
That's them traveling between planets.
Yeah.
And then in the in the other planets, there's not time as linear. It's like three phases. Like there's the morning time, there's the middle time, and the night, whatever. So it's not so blocked out. And we're moving towards that. If you notice, time isn't so locked up. So we are moving to that vibration of that.
Yeah. That's one way to listen, is to honor how you're feeling about the shifts in time around you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if any of you are feeling this right now, but time for me, I'm learning to make it my friend. Okay. And it's something that it's a real slippery slope with me and time. I feel like I'm either working in it and I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't even notice. And so many things are getting done. Or there's this other thing happened today where it's like, wow, I just blew 30 minutes with no, oh my gosh, I'm having a struggle with time and I'm late for a session. I had no idea, you know?
Yeah. So, so to me, time and space are the slave masters. They keep you locked in linear reality, so you can't know. The 9 to 5,
Mhm.
nose to the grindstone. I yell at people who want me to make appointments with them unless it's a client. Like, can I meet you at this time on 3? I go, don't you dare nail me into time and space, because that's what it is. It's like you're forcing them to be in the lower worlds when you and I are like vast and there's no time where we are.
Mhm.
And the only time we're trapped in time is when we have to meet someone in this world. So it's good not to like build up your schedule book with all these times, because you're nailing yourself in time and space, and then you're locked there until your event is over.
You see my face? I'm gonna have to do this fast. You probably hear what's going on in my head. My ego's like, but my kids have to be here. They have appointments and classes. Well, I have a doctor appointment like this
Right,
week.
so you work with it. It's like you put them down, and you're not beholden to them in the same way. Like you put them in the appointment book, but when you're not having to go somewhere, you're just aware that you have an appointment to go to. You don't, oh gosh, I got to go in 10 minutes. I got to go get it. I got to get, you don't think about it. You just respond when you have to go in. You slip in and slip out. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot more sense, because on the days where I feel friendly with time,
Yeah.
I'm really gonna have to do these tabs.
Yeah.
I just kind of wake up and I get up early and I've got tons of energy and I'm feeling it. And I'm like, before I know it, I'm like, yeah, I still have an hour to go before my first session. I've set plenty of time, and I am in between sessions. I'm able to clean my energy and meditate, and I'm like, wow, I still have 10 minutes. If today wasn't one of those days.
Yeah. And sometimes you can take a whole refreshing nap in 5 minutes, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I
It takes
mean?
about 20. I don't know. I'm a little bit slower with that with you, Jen.
Well, I don't know how long it is because I'm not paying attention, but yeah,
Speaking of time, I want to honor yours. I don't want to keep you too long today. How are you doing?
whatever you think. I'm fine, whatever you want.
Because I did have some things that I wanted to talk about from the actual posting that you made about listening that
Mhm.
just really hit me. This was just, I just made me stop. This here. Um, Don't indulge those who talk too much, complain too much, or spew anger. And then you said, being a good listener is not a form of masochism. I
Yeah.
just stopped in my tracks when you said that.
Yeah.
I was like, you mean I don't have to sit here and listen? It would, and of course, I'm a Southern woman. So in culture, where I'm from, if you get up and walk away from somebody, your mama may as well be in the back of your head going, what did you just do? You walking away. It's terrible, right?
Right. And look how people are more maybe subjugated in the South, where women's roles are even more tighter and stuff. But that politeness, that social norm, it's all meant to lock you into a role. It's like guardrails on your life. And you know what I discovered, how you get those guardrails off your life? This is like, I don't know if people will get this, but what keeps you in those guardrails is the belief that you're more superior than an inanimate life or other species. So you're only focused on people. But if you take the guardrails off that and you value every piece of material is made of live atoms, so it's alive. So if you honor inanimate life, you're taking that guardrails off of superiority that keeps you locked in time and space. And the way to start with that is like, you like your stones, you like your you love your stones, you speak to your stones, but why can't you transfer that to other things? Like, and it can get you nuts for a little bit because my towel will nag me, get me off there, don't leave me on the floor. When you speak to all life, you'll hear all life, so you have to block out some stuff. But and a good way for people to start is like their teddy bears, because anything that was made has a group consciousness and an intention. That's why guns are so dangerous. They want to be used for their intention. There has a psychic ability to manipulate people to use them. And so that's why just having a gun in the house is not a good idea, because the gun has a intention with it. It's inbred. That's what a gun does. And it wants to be used. It wants to be validated. But the same thing is true with a teddy bear and something to love. Teddy bears, they take all that stagnant energy and they take it into the inanimate world and they leave you clear. So if you can't do any other energy work for yourself, get yourself a teddy bear that you can trust and pour all that stagnant energy into it and feel the release. It's real.
Good as a Rudraksha, people.
Wait, what?
I said, as good as your Rudraksha. I got a lot of yogis.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what that was.
Rudrakshas they're incredible. They're these very powerful seeds. I'm joking, but I'm not. That pull in energy because these seeds have been bred in like the harshest conditions. It's so interesting, like in Nepal, and is where most people get the Rudraksha seeds, and they've been bred in the harshest conditions, and they are able somehow to put this big protective shield of your own energy around you. So when you get a Rudraksha, you talk to it, it becomes very animate for you. You get used to your Rudraksha, and you pick out specific ones that you like for a reason that work for you, and you talk to it and it becomes like a friend to you, and you basically wear it all the time, and it soaks up your energy of what's really you, not what you think is not you, but what's really you. And then when something isn't, it goes it pushes the seed pushes the energy out from your body.
Amazing. You felt this? You feel this?
Oh yeah.
It sounds fun.
It's so fun. It's so fun. So I have several Rudrakshas for different reasons, and each of them have different purposes to me. But crystals do the same thing for me. Like, I don't have any cultural bindings to the Rudraksha because of India or my past lifetimes. Crystals do the exact same thing.
Well, my crystals are nagging me all the time because they
Are they?
haven't cleansed yet, and they're like so like disgruntled with me. Like they just want to be out in the moonlight and just like be refreshed.
Yeah. So yeah, about being a good listener and it not being a form of masochism, I'm wondering if you can offer us some techniques I'll give you a specific example.
Yeah.
If someone were now my house is my temple,
Yeah.
and if you're coming to my house, you better tell me or I will not answer the door. And if I do answer the door, I'm going to be like, why didn't you call me first? With one eye closed like this. I'm not going to be a happy camper about it.
Right.
So all my friends know that you call me. You don't just show up, right? Well, sometimes it happens with neighbors, like they don't know any better and I'm new in my neighborhood and they're coming and they have that energy of like what you described before, like they may want to get to know me a little bit or bring me some cool food, but there might be something that
they're scanning you. They're all scanning you. They want to know who you are, what you're about.
If
they're
I'm
interested
in the neighborhood, what?
No, they want your energy. They want gossip on you. They want to be the first ones to get to know you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They don't get very far, and then none of them have gotten in my house because I don't like being scanned, and I can feel it.
And
so
you don't want to receive gifts from people you don't trust. That's how psychic attacks happen.
How do you say say no when someone's handing you a gift? They're like, here's some bread. Welcome to the neighborhood. Like,
Well, you would probably take it and then maybe like throw it out
oh,
if you feel that vibe on them,
uh-huh.
or like burn a little piece of it or something. It depends on what you feel about it and stuff. You know what I mean? They don't know. They don't know they're not being gracious neighbors. They think that's just what they do. And it might be okay. But it's like that's why you have to listen. You every little thing, every little like animals smell the air, they smell the twigs, they know everything. We're animals. We have to be that hyper alert with our own lives. When someone new comes into your life or just comes in there, usually they come like a bull in a china cabinet because they don't know better. And it's like, no. Sometimes you can scare them off and say, well, I'm a dynamic healer and
I do
I'm
that
this.
purposely a lot. What do you do for a living? I talk to dead people in the Mormon neighborhood. You know? Really? And it's very interesting. If I really want to get rid of someone, I go straight for it. They're like, oh, okay, well, here's some bread. Bye.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
You know, I get that a lot. Yeah, but if I feel like people are passing my scan, because I want to talk about that too, I'm scanning them as well
Why? No, you're not.
because I'm
No, you're
determining
not.
if I want to let them in my space.
No, you're not. You're not doing the same thing they
I'm
are.
not? Okay, well,
No, you're not. The difference is you're reading them like a newspaper. You're glazing the front cover to see if you want to read the newspaper. You
yeah,
see the headline, whatever. If the headline is obnoxious, you're not going to open that newspaper.
right.
You're not opening them up. You don't want to open them up. You open people up all the time. You don't want more work. You're just scanning the outside headlines. So
Yeah.
that's not scanning people, that's just reading their energy.
Oh, so scanning, from the definition that you give of it, would be more like going deeply into their business.
Yeah, because what you're doing when you're like asking questions is like you're going over their body and finding their Achilles heel. Like,
Mm.
what's wrong? Why are they weak? Oh, did you lose someone? Oh, did you like missing somebody? Are you sad or whatever? They're scanning
I get so
what they,
uncomfortable when people say that, when they do that. It's so
because
uncomfortable.
they're scanning you. They want what you have and they're wanting their way in. It's almost like people trying to find your back door.
They don't get far with me though, because
I
when
know,
when
but
they start doing
now
that,
they'll get less far.
yeah.
I
So
mean, you can cut them off at the fence instead of letting them in the porch.
yeah. So when they start doing that, I get really uncomfortable. And I often will say, I feel uncomfortable answering that question. And if,
And ask them, why do you want to know?
oh, that's good. I like that. Okay.
And so when I was in the hospital, people wanted to know what was wrong with me because I did some posts from the ICU when almost died, and I'm like really dramatic about it, but I won't give you details because that's not the important part. So they go, "Ooh, what's wrong?" And I just posted, um, "It's does it matter what was wrong with me? I don't want it to define me. It doesn't define me, and I don't want it to define." So
Mm,
you just give them something very honest, like whatever my story is, I'm trying to like get above the story. I don't want to. Everybody has a brain like a 3D printer. If you tell someone your problem, you're using their 3D printer to nail you in that experience. So if you get a diagnosis and you go around and tell everybody you got a diagnosis, then what you're doing is telling them to support this diagnosis. And then it's harder to get through it because they're all using their mind energy to see you that way.
that's a good point in terms of energy dynamics.
Yeah. So I helped my friend over stage 4, the C word.
Mhm.
She had, and so I gave her a list of things to do, and one of them was don't tell anybody. Don't cry on people's shoulders. If they ask how you do, saying I'm great. And of course, all the manual things like get rid of your perfumes, your scents, your loud noises, and all that. And when she went back the next year, the her surgeon said, "We thought you were a statistic for sure. We didn't think you'd make it, and we're really pleased that you made it." And it was like this list I gave her, and it was just simple nuts and bolts things like that.
Wow. Can that be now some of the kids that are being born into this society, they have a completely different take on things like that. And my kids challenge me. So when it comes to the C word, I am more in your dynamic with this. However, my 18-year-old is this blazing, rip roaring indigo type kid. He's like, I have no problem saying that word. And I don't care if I get it. I'm not scared of it. And I do not view it as bad, even because if you look at it under a microscope, it's beautiful. He looks at a virus and he's like, look at it in a microscope. Viruses are everywhere. They've been around more than before we were, Mom. Viruses are beautiful. The C word is beautiful. It's like it's there to help you. Like he's not even scared of it.
So he's transcended above our pay scale. It's like he's not even reacting to it. But that non-reaction state is great. But what you can say to him is, that's good that you're so advanced that way. You're almost like a genius in that way. But out of respect to other people,
Yeah.
they get scared and then they create disease for themselves. So you're not helping them by saying the C word.
Oh, okay.
It's almost
I
like
was
people who,
struggling to talk to him about this. I'm like, you got to listen to them better because they're afraid. So we honor what they're going through, that they're afraid. You don't want to be shoving it in their faces because you're not, you know?
right. And he's not giving it this, he's not putting the vibration of fear on it. He's putting the
Oh,
vibration
no.
of love on it.
No, he thinks it's cool. He's like, it's, have you looked at it under a microscope? Oh my God. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And
You know, they say that, I don't know who they is, but that the human body gets like the C word 4 times at least in their lifetime. And it's only when the Western medicine catches it and starts to try to help it that it runs amok. But if you don't know about it, your body can naturally take care of it and get rid of it. But when you label yourself that and all the conditioning about disease takes over, just like menopause and aging. Do we really need menopause? Do we really need to age? Or is it, okay, this is told what we're supposed to do? So, okay, we'll do it because we want to go along with everyone else. So it's
mm,
kind of conditioning
the body will follow along.
with whatever you program it to do. That's why you should change, only use high vibratory words. So I'll do this session, this beautiful dynamic session with someone, and they go, that was so great. I was feeling so bad. I had a backache and a headache, and my husband was beating me. I go, no, don't pull it back. Those words are vibrations, and you pull that vibration back into you. So after a session, don't ever speak of it again, those things,
Mm,
right?
yes, exactly. That's very interesting because after I did a lot of the taps that you give me for my feet,
Yeah.
um, I would have some pain here and there. And then I had really two really good days that were like, oh my gosh, took off my shoes, walk in my garden, all kind of stuff. And then I go to the doctor and then he's like, pulls out the ultrasound and he's like, well, it's not terrible, but it hasn't gotten much better. Aren't you feeling a lot of pain? And I'm like, well, I mean, I don't know, and then the very next day, it was like, oh my God, one of them hurts really bad,
He
but then
curses you.
and he
He
was like,
cursed
you
you
have to
with
wear
his
your shoes all the time. You have to wear these orthotics all the time. You have to do this all the time. And my feet are like, I want to be on the ground. I want you to take off. So it's this thin little balance that we have with our
right.
beliefs and our body. It is like we want to honor when there's a pain that's there. But then I start to be like balancing this line of, is there a pain really there? Or am I just scared and creating a pain that wasn't there before it was, you know?
Or is he putting a limitation on you, and is he thwarting your releases by cursing you?
Yeah. And then that very next day I had like really bad pain,
Yeah.
really
And
weird.
and how's your insurance? I mean, if you have good insurance, they might be able to find more stuff with
Insurance.
you because you're a
Yeah.
money bags to them. So you have to question everybody's intentions.
Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah, it's really interesting because like he's starting to talk about surgery and all these things, and I'm like, nah, nah,
Did you ever get the TENS unit?
on. What?
Did you ever get the TENS unit?
Um, I haven't yet. No. No.
Oh, I want to send you one. It's so frustrating because it's so juicy to put that on and to feel that really, really release at a.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I think I just didn't get around to getting
I know.
dressed or whatever, but thank you. Yeah, it would feel good. Um, yeah, and it was just this really weird thing about this balance. So listening can go into your body as well, like how to listen to your body versus what the doctor's telling you to listen that isn't even there, you know? So it gives me this cortisone shot. And it doesn't hurt, doesn't feel much different either. Not terribly painful, but not unpainful. And I'm just kind of it's in this slow process of my body saying, are you gonna believe that you're healed or not? Like this is generally what the body is telling me right now after I'm doing all these taps and I have my good days. Then other days, I put my foot on the ground and I'm like, is it gonna hurt? Is it gonna ow? Immediately, and then 2 hours later, I'm not thinking about it and I've got my shoes off because I just did a class or I just channeled and I ran to the bathroom really fast. And because I only had 10 minutes, and then I didn't feel it the whole time, and someone will say, how's your feet today? And I'm like, I have no idea. I guess I'm not, oh my gosh, I'm not in pain. I had no
That's awesome.
idea, which
That's
is what's
awesome.
happening today. Like I don't even feel them.
Good. Do you do like when I send you? I know when I send you a long list, it's hard to get through them. But when I send you like 3 or 5, is that good to send you 3 or 5, or do
Three
you
or
do
five
them?
is better than the list. And I have been
Yeah,
doing
but do you do them?
that.
Okay, good. That's what.
I do them, and then the mind does this thing, where I can tell when the brain and guys, if there's some ego resistance to something, sometimes the brain goes, you might still be learning from that. Are you sure you want to let that go? So I have to kind of force my way through that,
Yeah.
or I'll say it the wrong way, or I'll do something, and then I just have to start over again.
Well, that's the thing with people with fibromyalgia. The people with fibromyalgia in the past have gotten really mad at me because the pain is used to validate something that happened horrifically. So people, me saying that you can get rid of your pain, they hear that I'm invalidating them, which
Mm.
I'm not doing. I'm actually validating them more. I'm validating the reason why you're in pain. And something gets lost in there, and they say, how dare her think that we're just making this up? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there's horrific pain that your body is crying out to be heard, and you're not hearing it, and you're expressing it as pain, but you can express it as remembering or validating that pain at the core level and releasing the pain. And if the ego needs that, like people with carpal tunnel, if they need it to stay out of like having to type, they'll get mad at me because they want their pain to keep them. They're associating work with being enslaved. So
Wow.
that's coming up for them. And if I say, well, I can take away your pain, you can go back to work, they're saying, no, I'm not going to go back to slavery. See,
Yes.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, and all of that shifting right now. In this particular shift, this is another thing I wanted to talk about. It's shifting and people are hanging on to it. They're like, but I want to keep my dead end job. I want to keep my soul sucking job, even though it was practically emotionally killing them and going into their bodies and possibly going in that direction as well. They're still like clinging to it, like, but I won't survive, but I won't pay the mortgage, but I won't, but I won't, but I won't, but I won't. Are you seeing that a lot?
Well, I see the beauty of the pandemic, no
Yeah.
matter what you believe about it. But
Mm-hmm.
what it did was it took all of humanity out of the linear 9 to 5 drudgery
It did.
and forced them to be exponential. They're forced. The biggest complaint, I'm stuck in my job and I don't have time for me, or I don't have time to figure out what I really want to. Well, look what the universe did. It gave everybody the time to figure out things for themselves.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people want to go back to work, but a lot of people realize that, you know, there's something more.
I
And
sense we're going to be surprised with that. I'm sorry to cut you
no,
off.
no, no. Yeah, that's true. There's so many beautiful things happening. Okay, my book Turning Point in 2016, I have to say that the ancient ones, my spirit guides, made me document all the taps I did for humanity in 2016. And a lot of the things we see coming to fruition It's documented. We did them in 2016. And the things about, look at the air is cleaning up, the water, the animals, all these different things. And it feels like power is still there, but power is fighting really hard to keep us. And we're growing too aware to be, because they're not being fueled like they did before. Because we're not, the ways that we fed power with fear and subjugation and whatever we did, we're not doing it anymore. So power is not being fed. So power is trying really, really hard to get our attention and to cause outrage and cause reactions in us, like a temper tantrum, because we're going through and cutting its fuel tanks of being fed on people's outcries, people's anguish, and all of this thing. All the cruelty that they're doing to those children, they're not feeding on it. That energy is spilling right off and going back to individual empowerment. And that's why everybody is like protesting in the streets, because they have their empowerment back. Mm-hmm. So it's huge shifts.
It is. It's very exciting. And it's not really so much change.
I just made you tired. I know. I'm sorry I made you tired. I talked too much.
Oh, no, it wasn't that. It was that somebody had asked a question that I was pondering about your book. They had missed, was it Turning Point? Is that the name of it?
The one, well, I just got my new book out. Monkey Joy came out yesterday.
Yeah.
But the one we're talking about is
Turning Point. 2016, you did that. Okay.
Trace, is it that
2018.
2018. The Turning Point.
Okay, and that was the taps. That was where you had all the taps for humanity. And
yeah,
I think that you knew then, and probably even before then, that we would come to this point.
The spirit guides knew. I didn't realize it would. I mean, 2 years ago, we didn't know. We didn't know what's going on now. So it was like, but they got me off my butt and they said, okay, you got all these posted on Facebook. Just download everything that you've done in that year and just like compile it. And it's a huge, thick book. It's not like a little thing. It's like a thick one. And it's like a reference. I got like thick books that are like reference point. Like the SFT lexicon is all the tabs for physical ailments. So it's like a thick lexicon. And they wanted that one. Did you order? Do you have it yet?
No, I just ordered it yesterday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm interested in how you like the books.
Yeah, as a medical medium, I had to go for that one first. So I'm like, that
was the point. The ancient ones made me put that one together. They said, compile everything like this. Yeah. And those were the 2 books that they made me compile. There's a couple of them they made me write. Like the Letters of Accord are like truths that you're not going to find out there.
That's the second one I got. I went straight.
Yeah. And then that talks about sexuality and how we waste. This is an adult. How we waste our orgasm, giving it to the man, when the female orgasm was meant to use as healing. Mm-hmm. And instead of pouring it into the man, that was a sabotage. The man's supposed to bring the woman to orgasm so her energy can be used to heal all of humanity. And that's what Goddess energy did. And now that's why she's so shamed for having an orgasm, because it's so powerful. It's a powerful healing tool. And if you want to heal others, do the taps while having an orgasm. Wow. And it's very profound because the energy will go out.
Well, I'm a very tantric person, so that explained why I went straight for that.
Okay, good. That's only a little piece. Yeah, that's only a little piece in it, so I don't want you to think it's all of that, but it's just those kind of things you're not going to find out there that empower women.
Oh, wow. So that one was about empowering women and the divine feminine. Would you say that? Or
it's got some of that in there, but that one was emerging from the mist, which has the ones for someone who was raped or abused or trafficking, for all the female to get her empowerment back.
Okay.
There's something for everyone. Yeah. You know, all these ways we've been hurt and scarred and broken, and what we identify with, like animals. There's an animal book and tree book, because these are parts of us that we've left behind because of the pain. We need to get these things back to us because that's our empowerment.
Wow. Um, in
Oh,
terms of listening, I wanted to ask you a question about, I'm hearing a lot from my clients and students, and particularly in my mystery school program, they're profound empaths. They're just like sponges,
mhm.
massive sponges, so absorbent. And what a lot of you are telling me is that you just want to turn off the social media, you want to turn off the news, you want to turn off everything and just go within because you can't stand what you're seeing. In terms of how to listen to the world, when every time you turn on the TV or you open up your phone to Instagram and you want to post something loving for the day and you see a bunch of stuff.
That, that's not the world. Social media is not the world.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk to the universe, go outside, talk to a tree, send it through the tree to the rooting system of all other trees. I go out to the trees and I go, please tell the world about me so I can help more people. And the trees will do that. I'm a rock star with trees. And what we see on social media, we were given the internet, the social media from another planet to upgrade our consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been meant to use positive and connection, and the connection is there with others. But the power mongers have just buried the truth. And so it's important for people, even though they don't think it's making an impact, it's important for them to just get on and put out positive things, and don't read or don't partake. Just pour their energy out. Just pour their truth out there, and then don't try to feed anything off of there. There's unless it's my or your page where they can connect. But other than that, it's not worth it.
Right.
And when I came back from enlightenment, I thought I was that retarded boy. And they had me on social media, this nephew who never gave me the time of day. I helped him, and then he built me a website, taught me how to tweet. And so I was out there on Twitter, and I attracted a famous person within a week, helping her find her dog. And she told everybody to follow me. So I was out there, and I would 24/7 just positive statements, positive quotes. And then what I realized is nobody was posting positive things. Nobody had remembered how to think. There were Socrates, Plato, Rumi, but nothing of their own. So then I made it a point of putting out original things to help people understand how to think, because that's why I hate memes. Do you hate memes?
It depends.
I hate big brash memes. Sorry, Valerie. I hate those big brash memes. Sorry. I delete them because they take away from the sacred point of the story, and then they're just flashing, and the memes were meant to, as a hieroglyphics, to dumb down our ability to communicate. You don't have to communicate in words. You don't have to formulate a thought. You don't have to think for yourself. Just put the bright picture on there and that'll do it. And it's enough to dumb down society. So understanding what they're doing and interrupting that.
Like, oh, look at the pretty picture.
No, don't look at the pretty
Yeah.
picture.
I
And you
know.
can sit there flesh. Now, if it's a kitten, like trying to get up and stuff, oh, the kitten, I can sit there for a half hour and it's like you're trapped.
But
It's
the
a
kid.
it's a form of energetically trapping you. Or that little baby going like this at the that little baby that's cheering on with such anger. You love it and stuff, but it traps you in that energy. It's a trick.
It's like how I think my little daughter, this is social media. It's like such a crux right now with me because my little one loves these things. She likes the TikToks,
Mhm.
Chad, I hear him. He's like, yep. So the TikToks, when they go on the dance, musicians will understand, like they want to dance or they want to do a quick little something, right?
Mhm.
Or they had this thing, called Snapchat where you could post something and then it's gone in 24 hours, right?
So they're teaching people to have a short attention span. They're
That's
training
why
them.
I don't like it. I'm like, it just innately feels to me. I'm like,
Yes, it is.
ooh. I don't like it. So that's very interesting, that I've noticed that in social media, unless something is plastering it in your face, that most people don't read words.
Right.
They don't read words. So I would like, as a teacher, to help retrain people to listen with words and with loving, powerful, compassionate words. And this is why I love your books. And this is why I love writing as well. And I take my book and in, my private groups, I will plaster my book everywhere. I'm like, these words are downloads of energy. And
Yes,
and it's incredible. And like what I'm doing with my book in particular, it is a sacred text. So what it is it takes everything that you think you know about religion, and it'll take like a Bible verse and be like, actually, this is what we really meant.
exactly. Well, it's been edited out. The truth has been edited out of the Bible verses. And the intention, these people who wrote those books of the Bible were the ones who got free of conformity. And so this was supposed to be a way to figure out how to get out of the conformity. And so what they did is create the conformity of what they do. Now, the books you and I write are like breadcrumbs for people to find their own pathways to truth. We're not saying do it exactly this way, but if you follow along long enough, you'll find your path to truth. And don't hold me up as the be all end all. We're all atoms of God, but I'm an atom of God over there. You're an atom of God over there. And we're all starbursts. And be your own atom of God, because there's people waiting to learn from you. And if you like follow our coattails instead of like your own empowerment, then you're letting people down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a really important thing to say, because I find that that's one of the things that really bugs me, in my personal groups and in my official Pamela Aaralyn's official community, is that most people are coming in there and they're like, I am throwing them the most powerful portions of my being, and they're like, I just want to talk about Abraham Hicks. And I'm like, there's a group for that. It's called the Abraham Hicks Vortex Group. This group is
Exactly.
going to talk about our experiences. I love it when they actually share with me their own stuff that's like from their hearts. When people come in there and write poetry, I love when people come on there and they're like, I have a channeled message from my higher self. I have no idea what it means. Let's share it. I love that kind of stuff,
Right.
that kind of stuff. I just eat it up when they put forth their poetry, or when someone puts a picture of their artwork. I'm like, oh, look at that. I want to see
Exactly.
that. I want to see that.
Exactly.
I like
Exactly. Because
Abraham Hicks. I love Abraham Hicks, but I'd go to the Vortex group if I want more Abraham Hicks.
right.
Right?
And Abraham Hicks happened before, like just on the cusp of the shift to the fifth dimension.
Yeah.
So is Abraham Hicks really about the fifth dimension, or just preparing people to be ready for the fifth dimension?
Yeah. I think it was a different time frame, where
Yeah.
preparation would be more. That's my assessment anyway of the Abraham Collective. They're incredible. I love them. And then they're
Yes.
Starbucks. They're their own Starbucks. um, so, and I am my own Starbucks.
Watch the sales of Starbucks is going to go off the roof now,
All
because
of a
we
sudden,
said that.
I need to hashtag Starbucks on this. Oh, geez. Do you want to take some time today for questions, or we want
I'd
to
love
have
questions.
questions?
Yes.
Like, I really like to interact with people, and I'm sure that we have so many people that are curious about reciprocity and listening, and your books and your taps and any of our work. So we're going to open up the floor and chat to questions about listening and
Amazing.
about taps, or about anything that you're curious about that we've been talking about. So I am awaiting your questions. They had questions like, oh, what is this? Uh, I guess this was in response to what you said, what we were talking about earlier with why this shift was happening, with people being able to take a break and to sort of, go into their own self for a while and figure out what they want to do and who they are more than what they
Mm-hmm.
want to do. Um, she said, what about the people who never got that break, that had to continue working the whole time? And I'm focusing on that word had to. I don't know about you, Jen, but like that word had to. You have control of your thoughts.
Well, if you think about it, those are the people that are serving on the front lines, like they call it. And we weren't meant to come here and just take. Came here to give. And those people have been overlooked. The Western medicine has been overlooked. And even though we might not ascribe to Western medicine, I was in the ICU for 5 days and I came to terms with Western medicine because I got loved and nurtured in that place more than I ever have in all my years on earth. So those people are wonderful. And so what's happening is there's a balance happening between the Eastern and Western and different demographics and stuff. So they're being honored at such a deep level. And it's like what we do personally, it's not random. We all have this intention of figuring things out. And some people figure it out by doing. And they have their purpose. A doctor doesn't sit around and say, oh, I wonder what my purpose is. Should I stay in this dead-end job of saving lives? He doesn't do that because he did the work, and so they know where they are.
So that person who asked the question, perhaps they just, that is, if they're, the energy that I get is the word had. You know,
Yeah,
they had to do this. So when I tapped into that person's energy, I was like, oh, wait a minute, let's stop here, because you're thinking that you have to be in a dynamic that obviously you don't want to be in, which isn't true. So that is a way of entrapment.
But then they're mad at you for saying that. What do you mean I don't have to? I got bills to pay. So it's a fear-based love if you're led by a position. And it's like, it's hard. It's hard, but you can not. The universe is always going to provide for you. And we think that we do it on our own. So it's like that person who's hell bent, like nothing ever happens to me, nobody ever helps me. Well, you're here, aren't you? You survived millions of years. You're here. So of course something is working for you because you exist. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. The next question is, where can we find your books if we want to purchase them, Selena?
Oh, they're on my website has a link to Amazon, and they're both in ebooks and paperbacks. And my website is Genuine Healing with a J, genuine.com. And then you'll just see a label at the top that's saying books.
Okay.
Do we have Monkey Joy on there yet? Okay, my new book, Monkey Joy, is on Amazon, but it's not on my website yet. So if you get to my books on Amazon, maybe you'll find Monkey Joy, which is really interesting. Can I tell the story about that really quick?
We do want to know about that book because it is your newest one.
Well, the reason it's called Monkey Joy is there was this dynamic person, like your dynamic people. She came to me and she was in this bad custody fight with her husband and the mother-in-law and the kids, and they wanted to steal the kids from her, and she was staying in this relationship because of the family and the pressure. And it took her back to a time when she was a monkey, and there were two monkey families, and her monkey family got destroyed, and she got overtaken by the other monkey family and got impregnated by the monkey. And so she had babies with this monkey, and she had to stay in that. And she was very unhappy with that monkey family, and they were very mean to her. That little group of monkeys was her family in this lifetime. And she kept that sadness. She shut down so much that she didn't remember her true monkey family from none of her human lifetimes until we released that core issue that happened in her monkey body. So after we released that issue, she was able to return to her primal joy, which I called her monkey joy.
That primal joy. That's interesting that you call it that.
Yeah.
Because animals instinctively just have that. It's like they don't lose that, much like kids.
Right. And when we think of primal mode, we think of the fear that's induced in us. So this book is a powerful energy source of shifting primal mode from being fear-based to being joy-based. So.
Wow. I
Yeah.
love that because we do think about primitive stuff being like, oh no, primitive fear.
Yeah. But returning to our nature is our freedom.
Um, this is a good question. And I guess only you can answer it. They want to know if they can use the taps that you give to them. Let me see that. Can we use the taps Jen gives to others in sessions?
Well, that's the whole point. I
Okay.
mean, who wants to watch other people get help? But yes, that's the whole point. Follow along. These are primal issues. Of course, of course. I'm happy that you'll do that. I've had people do that and it just opened up their energy because people get mad at me because they can't afford a session with me. And I have to pay bills. I have to, right? And it hurts my body and I'm tired. But you do these sessions. If you can't afford a session with me, you you can listen to these other people's sessions. You can buy my books. Enlightenment Unveiled is a book of all these sessions and the taps that go with it. And
Mhm.
you have the energetic cleanse and the different worksheets on my site. I can't give away more for free than I do, if that makes sense.
I completely understand. I do the same.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And some people have been asking me, and some are asking here as well, can they become a facilitator of the SFT?
You know what? It, I've been asked that a lot, and there's a couple. What I think would be good if someone wants to do that, I think it would be good if they bought a couple of the books and at least did one or two private sessions with me and told me they wanted to be a facilitator so I could train them. Oh my gosh, I'd love to train. We could do a training together if you want to help me with that, because there's things you do, like, you know how people think I'm mean and rotten?
Mhm.
That's part of cutting them off, that ego and stuff, and not taking it.
Mm.
So it's when you do the taps, you're not bringing any of their stuff into your body.
Mm.
It's effortless because you refuse to do that. And when they tell their story, they're trying to shove it in. So you're fighting with them in energy. But
Mm.
yes, we need facilitators. What the ancient ones told me is the SFT tabs that I post are going to become mainstream, like yoga. And in a couple generations, people won't need to tap. They'll just shift their energy from their belief system. So
Wow.
this is us taking back our empowerment after years and years and all our years of conditioning. It's taking it back like that. I don't think there's any quicker way to do it.
Mm. I love that. And some people
Yep.
people are all like, I want to do it. They're really
Yeah.
interested in it in chat. Um, let's see. Where do we get more information on basic tapping using this technique so we can try on our own? Genuinehealing.com with a J, right?
There's a page of SFT tapping worksheets,
Mhm.
and then there's the energetic cleanse. You can do the energetic cleanse with any person, place, thing, belief, group, everyone or everything, anything that's disturbing your calm. And if you feel the release of that, instead of like worrying about the world, you do the tapping and you feel better, you're going to want to do more of that.
Mm.
And another answer to the question, yes, you can do it for others. And you can like use a sentence. I declare myself a surrogate for Aunt Mabel in doing these taps. I declare myself for my mother in doing these taps. I declare myself a surrogate for humanity in doing these taps. And then you go nuts. And then you say that one sentence before each
Before each tap.
no, not before each tap. That would be exhausting. Before each round of taps. A worksheet is like 25, 30 taps. So you
Okay.
do it at the beginning of each
Okay.
subject.
For each subject. Okay.
Yeah.
Now there's this old paradigm that I know people are going to ask me about. I see your smile, so you probably know where I'm going a little bit. That people have this old paradigm in healing. I
No,
can't
you're not supposed. Yeah, of course you're
do
supposed
it
to.
for somebody else.
No, that's the daisy of death. Those belief systems are the daisy of death. And of course, and my spirit guides gave me the analogy, if you saw a little abused dog chained to a light post with with its chain in its neck, and its neck was raw. Would you just leave him there? Because, oh, he's got to figure out how to get loose himself. He's got to, oh, he needs these experiences. It's bullshit. That's the
Exactly.
lie we've been told. Same as not valuing what we do. Oh, I didn't do nothing. No, you did it yourself. You don't hear a plumber say, I didn't fix the pipes. The pipes just fixed themselves. You did it by calling me. Good on. No, we do something. And that little dog needs to be saved because the world is not fair right now. We've gotten all the lessons we have needed to be empowered, but the power mongers are like stacking the deck against us. So we're not going to be able to be free unless we help each other like we do. And when someone's praying to God, it's not this man sitting up in the sky. They're praying to God, and we're all atoms of God. So if you're stuck on the side of the road and you're praying to God, and I stop and I help you fix your tire and give you money for gas, I'm being that atom of God that you were praying to right then. And that's how we're all God beings. And that's how we all desecrate God, is by our judgment and belittling others.
Yeah. That's just so powerful. I'm just taking it in, all the things that you're
Thank you.
saying. And I have thousands of things I want to say, and now I don't because I'm just overwhelmed with the power of the things you were saying. Because
Oh, you're amazing. You're so gracious to allow me here and to like not have a pissing contest with me. People just don't know how special that is. It doesn't happen out there. So this is a space of grace that you've created, and I'm just so grateful for you. I've been writing and batting against the world for like 12 years, and you come along and you look at me and you show people this is what she's doing, and now people see me. And I'm so grateful for you for that. Thank you.
you're welcome. I'm grateful for you because you're saying the things that I was saying, and then I was shirking back from saying because then let me get triggered. My oneness teaching background, oneness teachers would come out and say, oh, that's not oneness. Oh my God, you can't say that the world's not a fair place. And I'm like, but it's not. And I'm seeing it. And as a
Yeah.
healer and as a compassionate person on this planet, I don't see fairness out there yet. I was trained as a oneness teacher in this lifetime. So I pulled back from my training, and Hillel and Lilith and Jesus and Mary and all the beings that talked for me were like, we're gonna channel a real oneness text right now. And I just
Yeah.
feel so blessed right now because I'm doing that now again. I had just stopped my book because I'm like, I can't teach this. I can't write a oneness text because what oneness teachers are saying does not feel true to me.
But can I just tell you how that's, but can I tell you how that's a lie?
Yeah.
Oneness is a lie. We're not one. Oneness diminishes everyone down to a small little fragment. We're everyone. Everyone. We're saying the same thing, but we're expanding that thing. To
Mhm.
say we're oneness, it takes all the dynamo of all our collective synergy and packs it down to one little snowball. And it's a lie to diminish us. We are all everyone.
So the
And
last
that,
one has been completely misinterpreted by these teachings.
right.
Completely misinterpreted because when I was reading and really connecting to the Raw Council and everything that they teach me through Council of Nine about oneness, I was hearing something different than what the oneness teachings and the books were. Yeah. And I was like, well, Council isn't saying that. This is not what they're saying oneness is. And then other like really powerful teachers of oneness who are known in this world, and some of them past from form, we're like, well, actually, it's this is it, and you don't look at because you don't look at the world's not unfair because the world is unreal and the world is unreality and it doesn't matter. What you need to focus on is spirit. That's what's real. That's what matters. And I'm like, I'm sorry, that's not what I'm here to do. Everything matters. Everyone matters. And I got really triggered and I stopped teaching, and then I recreated my whole teachings. I recreated my whole platform for my own version of what oneness teachings actually is according to myself. And yeah.
Can you change it to not oneness? Because then you're in the vibration and you have the glass ceiling of their teachings on you. Can you change it to the everyone teachings? And then it's unique to you. And then people will know right away the difference. That's the upgrade. Can you shift that one word from oneness teaching to everyone teaching?
They haven't used the word oneness in my teachings so far.
Oh,
Of course, in forgiveness, they haven't used the word oneness, not even once. No pun intended.
oh, okay.
They use other words. They use wholeness, and they use other words like sparks of God. And they'll say you are creative sparks of the whole instead of one. They say other things. They don't say what these other oneness teachings are saying. So I just had to sit with that for a bit because I'm like, you mean you're going to have me write about oneness, but it is oneness, but it isn't? And I'm like, wait a minute. I had to sit with that for like 2 whole years. Patrons are like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm sitting with something. I'm sitting with something. And they're like, well, is it done? So I'm done sitting on it.
Why do you have to sit on stuff?
Because at the time, when as a fully trained, like I had gone through A Course in Miracles, I had gone through so many things, and what the beings were saying was different than that. And I was like, what do you mean I'm gonna like say something completely different from what the original authors of these courses were saying? And now Yeshua was saying something different, and Yeshua was like, you're in a different time, of course I'm going to say something different. I'm like, oh, okay.
You're advanced beyond them. And what the people who are doing, who are taking these things like the Reiki hookup, people who do a session with me and do the taps, they get a hookup that is like the Reiki master hookup. They just get it. They don't have to take classes and draw it out. And taking those classes from people who just took a class, is like the spiritual telephone game.
Yeah.
Right? And you're getting it right from source. So you have to trust yourself as source and not play the telephone game that others are playing.
Yeah. And I had like other ACIM teachers, really powerful ones, writing to me and being like, well, I would have you on my show, but you're kind of going against ACIM. And I'm like, I'm not writing ACIM. I'm writing a course in forgiveness, and it is very different. And I'm writing a course in compassion and a course in grace. Those are the 3 things I'm writing. They are courses, and they are very different. But they take some of the same principles and rip them apart, like they shred them apart. So I'm pissing people off around the world right now.
Good. They need to. You're breaking down those concepts like they think they own it. Like I was in this cult group who talk about the light and sound of God, right? So if I write about the light and sound of God, they attack me like they invented the light and sound of God. And my spirit guides were connected to that group, but the spirit guides say, we're not a mascot for this power group. We never were a mascot. So these spirit guides do not work with those people anymore because they're like in the mental realms and they're not transcendent. They're still sitting at the feet of a master waiting for him to give to them. And it's like, how long are you going to wait? And in the mental realms, there's this desert wasteland of all these souls who have tried to transcend the mental realm and tried to make it to pure spirit, but they never made it. And they just expired there. And you see all these carcasses of souls just wandering around the mental realm and exhausted like a wasteland.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that hit deeply right now because I'm feeling the speakers, the listeners, and like us and everybody as one, and as each other. I feel an us and them. I feel everybody,
Yeah.
But I just feel oneness differently than what these teachings were saying. And it's so interesting because people are coming about, well, do you recommend ACIM now? And I just can't say yes or no on that because everybody has their own starting point, and everybody is where they are.
But why can't people start with what you do? I mean, your starting point is you have the compassion, you have the guidance, you have what they need to start. They don't need, if they are attracted to ACIM. That's great, but that was written in the third dimension and you're fifth dimension. So if they do they just really want to be nostalgic about training? Because I get people who are like looking for a spiritual teacher, right? They've been looking their whole lives for a spiritual guru, this this dynamic being that's martial arts, polished, beautiful, comely. And they come to me and it's like, well, she's got the truth, but that's not what I wanted. They wanted this male dynamic warrior who's really handsome, who's gonna like look the part. And then they come to me and this frumpy, squeaky voiced woman. It's like, what do we do with this? And it's like the ancient ones joke on them. Either you want truth and you'll accept it in the form we put it in, or you'll go on your nostalgic quest for something that doesn't exist outside of, you know, the the spirit guide isn't perfect. We're flawed beings. And it's important that people don't try to be perfect before they go on a spiritual path because they'll never get there. That's the lie of the daisy of death.
Mm.
Your flaws are spiritual, they're part of your exponential part. I am so flawed, it's kind of funny. And I don't focus on it, but you see this body and the frustrations that go into whatever. But when you're doing the work, it all falls away, and it doesn't matter what I look like or what I sound like. You know that the love is healing and penetrating and melting all those levels away.
Yeah, that's true about your work. I know because I've done it. I'm sat there with you. I was like a crying mess of tears the whole time.
Oh, you're wonderful. I need a session with you. I need a session for Buster and Bernie.
Oh, I love the animals. I love working with the animals. It's one of the things I love to do. Animals are amazing. Um, what do we want to do? Do we want more questions or are we done or how are we feeling?
Are you guys okay for a couple more questions? Yeah, they're not going to close it up if
Couple
people
more?
want it.
Okay, do a couple more. I can scroll up or you guys can copy and paste. I know Jen and I getting on topic and we just kind of keep going. So there probably were questions that I missed.
The thing is that I don't know if they know this, but as we're doing this, the whole world is receiving a healing. All healers are receiving a healing as we do this. And it's not about me talking and, oh, I get to talk more. No, I feel the effects of this going out and opening the consciousness of all seekers in all forms.
Mm-hmm.
And something that was taboo, speaking your truth, the door is open for people to speak their truth and to be who they are and to be empowered. Are you getting a sense of that worldwide as well?
I am, yeah. And it's that's one of the things that I really wanted to address because there's so much energy happening all the time. And the more you're listening, the more you're perceiving energies and you're knowing what's going on and you're trusting that and you're connected to your body, you're connected to your breath. These taps do that too. I'm a pranayama yogi. Before I was doing this particular modality, I would have to sit there and I have this technique called the one technique where I bring myself full and center into oneness with myself and I breathe for a few times and I say one in my head and I say one 3 times and then I breathe back down my spine and that's it. It was a really simple technique and it makes all my thoughts go away and I just love it. So like this does the same. Like whenever I do the taps, you notice when I do the taps, I'm breathing. Suddenly my breath comes back when I do my taps. And I'm a person who's like, as a breath yogi, like I really want to breathe. So how do you feel about breath and taps? Do you notice that there's a connection, a correlation?
After a release, when people do the Wei Chi one, we're literally patching them up. So they were like a deflated balloon. And so when you breathe, you can feel your energy expand like an inner tube. Yeah, but otherwise it's like breathe afterwards and I don't focus on anything that's not that it's sticky, but I failed at every practice there was. So if I need to do something like that, it'll set me up to fail because I'm not good as everyone else. And that's why the taps are good because you can do the taps regardless. You don't have to like be perceptive. You don't even have to perceive an energy. You just do the taps and trust that they're working. And like when you do that I am one, that one it worked for me. As you were doing that, I was seeing I am a tree. And then I
Oh, I
could
don't say I am. I just, it's sort of like I count. I just say one and I say
oh
it like
okay.
I'm counting. So I breathe energy up my spine, then I hold it here and I imagine energy just pushing in here and I say one, one, one. And then I just breathe it back down. I don't know why it works for me. It just clears everything, no matter what it is. I don't know why.
You're probably unbottling the mental realm by using numbers and and figures. Like
Mm.
when you dream at the mental realm, it's in and it's figures and imagery that when you dream at the different levels, they have different integrity.
Mm.
And when you say one, it feels like you're opening up the bottleneck to the mental realm that might be shut and just
And
letting it.
everything just goes out and it just releases down my spine. It just releases, everything just goes. And then I just feel clear. Like there's a nothingness that feels so good. Well, the taps do the same though. So I
Yeah.
was just trying to find the correlation because I feel actually normally pretty bad when I'm tapping, to be honest. Or if it's a tap that's like I'm feeling like right on the edge of something powerful and good, I can feel really good as well. So there's never any in between for me when I'm doing your taps. So like I'm either a bursting mess of tears or I'm like, ah, this is awesome. And it's not like it, it's one or the other for me because I'm very receptive to energy. And you never have to ask me, do I feel it? Because it's like all over my face.
Right.
And so I noticed that taps just make me breathe, like even though whether I'm feeling good or bad or excited or not, like it's the breathing happens.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
good. So you don't have to like practice or go to school for breathing for 20 years. It just
Right. Right. Yeah. And I feel it. I feel it. And it's just someone asked, uh, what was it about it? It was an important one. All of them are important.
yeah.
What is the most incredible physical healing you've seen with SFT? Someone asked you.
There's a few of them. There was one woman who she rented she rented this apartment to her daughter and son-in-law, and they had children. And she was freaking out because the lead levels in her children were like really high. They were lead poisoned, and it had all these problems. And she was like freaking out, freaking out. And so we did the taps and stuff, and it went into a past lifetime where they were like the 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 landlords, and they were uncompassionate to their tenants, and they kicked them out. And it was during the when um when immigrants were coming over dime a dozen and stuff, and it was like really horrendous that the family like ended up dying because they just kicked them out and could get another one. And so we did all these taps, and it was very painful for her. They went to get a lead test for their children again. It was a normal range.
Wow.
Another one was this one who was doing tapping with me regularly. She she was usually fine, but they did a scan and she was covered with fibroid tumors. They were all in her, lower stomach. She could see them just covered with fibroid tumors. Tumors. I tuned into her, and she had this one friend that would stroke her ego and say, "You're my only friend. You're the only one who'll listen to me. I love you," and dump all her stuff in her. Well, she had poured all her issues into my client, and those were the tumors. They had to mistake masticize, whatever that word is. So we did the releases. She cried. She distanced herself from that friend, and in the next scan, they were gone. Can I tell you my aha moment where I noticed the correlation between emotional pain and physical pain? This
Mm-hmm.
is my aha moment that started all my thing. When I got through a massage school, I didn't know much. I knew I could move energy, but I wasn't like dynamic in it right now. I was just figuring it out. So this woman came to me and she goes, "Don't touch me. I got fibromyalgia." And she was like, "Oh, ow." I come near her. She was, "Ow." and I couldn't touch her. I'm like, how am I going to do a massage on her, right? But people innately know where to go to get healed. So she laid on the massage table on her back, and she's laying there, and I'm looking at her in my chair, and we're looking at each other. And I just said, you were gang raped in a past lifetime. And she looked up, her eyes got like this big, and she was horrified, horrified. Well, it wasn't a past lifetime. It happened when she was in high school. These three boys ganged up with her on her in the bathroom, and I saw her after they raped her, put her jeans on and just walk home and never speak of it again. So after she saw that I knew her dirty secret, I just started convulsing in tears, and I couldn't stop. For the whole hour, I just cried like a baby, and she's patting my back, comforting me. But it was her own pain. It wasn't my pain, it was hers. And I cried out her pain. And then she validated the story. I go, it was 3, right? And she goes, yeah. And so that's all we said. And then she stayed away for like 3 months. But when she came back, the pain that she's felt her whole life was down to like 45%. And so she came back for another session after she could tolerate seeing me. And I would just move around her thigh, and then I'd start crying, and move around her breastbone or her arms and just start crying. And that was our sessions. It wasn't massaging, it was releasing the emotional pain she stored in her. And it became so laden, it became physical pain, and that's how it works.
Chat's going crazy. They're like,
Yeah.
Another person asked, are the taps still working even when you don't feel anything?
Yes, you don't have to feel anything. And actually, some taps have a shelf life of 2 years. Because I've been doing this for a while. I haven't see, and what happens too, when you don't feel something, the people around you will see something different. I had a client say, everyone's telling me I look different, I look happier, and they don't know what's going on. And I know it was your session, but I didn't feel a thing. So yes, things are shifting, even if you won't allow yourself to know it yet. For some reason, you don't want to see it yet. And so just keep tapping, even if it doesn't. I don't think it ever doesn't ever not work. I think it works with everyone. But I think people's tolerance for doing it are higher. And some people will just stop because,
right.
No.
So an interesting thing that you just said, that a tap has a shelf life of 2 years. Does that mean that sometimes people need to do the same tap over?
No,
okay.
Never the same taps. That means like a taps people have done 2 years ago, I'll see it manifest 2 years later. Like this client on my page, she wanted her dream home. She just dreamed about her dream home. And we did a session a while ago, and she had forgotten. And then on her Facebook page, she goes, I just found my dream home. I don't have the money for it. I don't have it, but here it is. And it was a miracle. The landlord just sold it to me. You want to get rid of it so I can afford it. And here's my dream home out of the blue. So and she had forgotten she did the taps on it. And she goes, oh, yes, that's right. We did that. And so they do. But then what happens is people forget they've done the taps. So,
yeah. That is very interesting at the rate of it was such a fast world. And now we're in this massive shift where we can choose to slow down and to do this work, not just for ourselves, but for the entire human conscious collective. And it's just, yeah, go ahead.
We have to shift. Mm-hmm. Ignorance is literally dying out, literally. Think of the people who are stuck in that old consciousness. They're the ones who are ignorant about the masks or whatever, and they're stubborn, and they're, whatever. People who are stuck and can't change are dying out. And those people who can shift, not only can they shift for themselves, but they can shift for all of humanity.
Yeah. Yeah. That's going to be it's just such an exciting time.
It really is. And people can't get caught up in the headlines because power is kicking and screaming, but it doesn't have the teeth that it has. It's like, what it's like? It's the abominable in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Power is like the abominable without his teeth and his claws, and he's just this big old presence, but he's not scary anymore.
Yeah, and speaking of that, and staying away from the headlines, I had to take my local news. I don't even follow like Fox or CNN or anything. I just had local news. I'm like, well, how bad could it be? Just want to stay informed of what you think is going on, right? Big mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Take that thing off my phone because every time I turn around, there was a notification telling me how many cases, how many new cases we had of something, all the time.
It's psychic. There's psychic energy that piggybacks on that. So if you're opening it up, it's like receiving a gift. If you open the gift and receive it, that's a psychic attack.
It
So
didn't
you're
feel true. So I had uninstalled the thing because it doesn't
yeah,
feel true. So I was just like, I don't want to see this all the time. I see health around me. My whole neighborhood's healthy, you know, and being very responsible. And we seem healthy. We feel great.
exactly. You're bringing your peace to the world instead of allowing the yourself to be dragged kicking and screaming into what power wants you to be.
Yeah. Oh, can you tap to get activations instead of releasing?
Wait, what?
Can you tap to get activations instead of releasing? Someone's asking you.
He, yeah, positives. Yeah, there are positive taps, but I don't put them out as much because people need to release
That's what
first.
I thought. I thought, how can you just get straight away from things that?
So there's like the series, and I think they might be on my SFT worksheet page.
Okay.
And it's positive taps. And it's like I make space in this world for world peace. And that's one tap in all moments. I remove all blockages to world peace. I open up all portals to world peace. I stretch my capacity to receive world peace. I am centered and empowered in world peace. I
Mm-hmm.
resonate, emanate, and am interconnected with all life in world peace. So, yes, that's the activation.
Hmm.
But the
Another
blockage ones,
thing, I stretch my capacity. So maybe if they're not ready, then they start to broaden the energy to be ready.
well, they have to remove blockages first. And that one's like up there first. So if they remove the blockages, then they can expand from the inside. So you stretch your capacity from the inside. You're the fountain of, of empowerment. You outflow. So when you stretch your capacity, you can span the whole universe. And so when I do a session, I'm overlaying my energy onto the person wherever they are in the world because I've ascribed that to my parasympathetic nervous system to be able to do that. And that's why I feel them and I can just lift their stuff out really easily now.
Yeah. All right. I'm feeling a closing point. Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My cats are, dogs are. They're
We're
like,
all starting to get shifty.
yeah. In a good way, a good shifty.
In a good shift. We all need to go take care of ourselves now and our bodies. So thank you so much. And thank you for your team. I want to thank the team that's sitting there listening behind you. We all,
Therese and Dad and Mike.
yeah, yeah. I want to thank the
Thank you.
team and all the
And thank Anya. Anya is amazing. I love her. She's just so supportive. I mean, you can conquer the world with Anya at your side.
Yeah, she definitely does that. We definitely.
Yeah, I see that.
All right. And thank you. Thank you for being here with us today and sharing your beautiful gifts and your time and your healing essence and all of your energy with us today. I am just beyond grateful and ecstatic as always to sit with you. So thank you.
Thank you as well. Thank you for being so gracious and not having a pissing contest with me. Thank you for your generosity and spirit and what you do to help everyone, even if they like bitch at you for it. Thank you.
Yeah. So you can find Jen Ward at genuinehealing.com. That's JEN, just like her name, genuinehealing.com. And of course, she just came out with her new book, Monkey Joy. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about that today. And you can find any of her books. She has a ton of books about these taps, on her website, that link back to Amazon. So we'll do this again. I have a feeling probably soon.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, we'll do something again really soon. So thank you guys. Thank you all for being here. And thank you, Jen. I'm going to stop the recording now in just a minute once I figure out how to do it.